Well, thanks. That's what I do. It's like I want to empower people into like taking care of themselves ultimately, like nourishing yourself. And so you were empowered. Maybe something I shared shifted something for your care of plants. And now you're like doing it.
It was actually your presentation. I remember it well, and I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe I could do this. One little plant and try not to kill. And now I have like 6 or 7 in there alive. Alicia gave me one too, and it's like it's still alive. I'm very excited.
So yeah, I'm Elizabeth Grange. I don't know all of you yet, but will you tell me? Oh, I know Victoria and I know Jen. Will you tell me your name?
Julia Wood.
Julia Wood.
Jeanette Blackburn.
Jeanette Blackburn. And what's your name?
James Howard.
Okay. Okay. Welcome.
Alicia, and then you have Fran and Kelsey on the room.
Okay. On here, this way?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't see you, but hello.
You probably have to talk really loud. So
Yeah. I'll try. Okay.
I should say.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
everyone in the room, if it's not loud enough, please send a message.
And I can come like stand over here. I don't need to stand behind the table. So yeah, I did the USU Master Gardener programs, and I became a certified Master Gardener. And I did, and this is Ted, right?
I actually put you on the other side with James because I'm doing another person's here.
I did the
Go ahead this way.
The Master Gardener program. I did it at Thanksgiving Point, and it's something that anybody can do. I just want you to know, like, I did this, and that's great, but anybody can become a Master Gardener. There's a class that you take, and then there's 40 hours of volunteer work, like supervised official volunteer work, and I did that at Thanksgiving Point as well. So that's my experience as far as official certifications with gardening, but I've been gardening. I remember we did a little garden when I was little growing up, and I remember like that fresh taste of carrots from the garden and the fresh tomatoes, and I just remember that sensory experience from fresh foods compared to like store-bought ones, or not even having fresh food growing up a lot. And as soon as I owned any plot of dirt, I've been gardening it. Even if I didn't know what I was doing, I just started planting stuff, and it's an experiment. And you don't need to be afraid of failing, because if you're not failing, then you're not doing enough. So if you're not killing plants, then you're not doing enough gardening. So I just encourage you to just try and experiment, plant seeds, buy plants, wherever you want to start, to just start learning, because it's okay if it doesn't grow. But you'll never grow anything if you don't try. So today we're just going to start basically about starting on your own at home, taking another step beyond just buying the plants, which is great. You can have more seed selection and the types of plants that you want to grow when you start from seed. When you buy from the store, which is great, you're just kind of limited to that selection, but it's kind of fun when you're ready to branch out into like fun, colorful things or different types and varieties of food. And sometimes it grows and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm gonna have, could you pass these around to everyone? This is just a little,
And I'll take the one for the gal that I'm doing it for.
yes, that's great. So I pulled a couple resources from online, and I'll pass those out as too when we are ready for them. And this was, I just wanted to make it easy. Like, there's so much information online, like, you know, should I look up a seed starting calendar for my area? Like, what do I do? Where do I start? So I just wanted to like bring us to like where we are right now. Most of us were here in person, we're in Lehigh, and so I just concise it down. I know a couple of you online are not in Lehigh or in different areas, so you may have to adjust it. So today is April 12th, right? So we're kind of in this window where we can start our like hot weather plants, like that are vine plants. We're a little late when it comes to starting tomatoes, but we're gonna try anyway. And peppers, it's a little too late for, but we still have a good window of things that we can start today that will be ready for us to plant towards the end of May. So when it comes to like gardening, planting seeds, there's just super basic foundational things that we need to have in place so that those seeds can grow. And this is like a pattern in the earth. And you know, we need soil. We need something to plant the seeds in. For seeds to grow, they need soil, they need water, and they need light or warmth or both. So when you break it down super basic, before you get to your seeds, soil, water, and light. So for seedlings, there's a few different options for starting your seeds. So there's these little kits that I actually love because it makes it easy. They have little peat pellets that are like all the water sucked out of them, and they're really small. And that's what we're going to use today. We just add water and they like soak back up that water and rehydrate. And they're wrapped in just a little like thin cloth that kind of just holds that soil together. And I like these because, well, one, everything's kind of all in one. Like, I want to make this easy. And they're easy to transplant. You don't have to like take them out of a pot and like mess with the roots or anything. The roots stay intact and there's not a lot of trauma to the little seedlings when you are ready to plant them outside. So I like these little kits, but there's other options too. If you're just gonna do seed starting with some soil, and I've done this before as well, it's a great way. You wanna start with seed soil. And there's a reason for that, because if you were to do potting soil, there's just like a lot of bigger pieces. It's a different mix. Seed soil is very, I'll use like one of these. I need a scoop. It's very lightweight. I don't know if you can like see that. I'm gonna dump it into here. There's little tray kits you can buy and you can just do your own soil and add it in. We don't want like a heavy, rocky, mulchy soil for little teeny tiny seeds that need to come up. So just a really lightweight one, and that's all. You don't need to add fertilizer or anything to the soil when you're starting seeds, because they just don't need fertilizer at first. So you can get little kits like this and just add your own seed starting soil. There's these trays. This is like the low tech, like I'm not being super fancy. There's so many things you can use to start seeds. You could use, you know, Dixie cups as long as you cut holes in the bottom. So the soil needs to have drainage. So all of these have little drainage holes. You can just do these trays, put soil in, and that's one way to like do mass plantings. Like I want like, you know, 10 tomatoes or 40 tomatoes, whatever. You can do these big trays. The downside to these, I don't do this because I want to make it easy on myself. I don't like that it's hard to get the plants out. I don't want to damage young seedlings. They only have one stem, so you don't want to break the stem.
Can you cut the plastic? Or?
Yeah, so you could. These are kind of a hard, firm one. And some people will do, I didn't bring just a tray, they'll have like a plastic tray and there's no dividers, just a whole thing of dirt, and they just put the seeds in, and then they'll take the little seedlings and they'll move them to like a bigger pot. So that's just adding another step, which is fine to do. But in my life, I just want to make it like as least steps as possible so that I have the most likely success. And when you have a tray, any type of tray you're using, you'll want to have, like, here's a cookie sheet to catch the water, and it kind of helps maintain some moisture, something to keep the moisture in but still allow drainage with the ones with the holes. So right here, I've done this before and it actually works great. Like these little bakery containers, you can just save them. And I've got like the spinach container, you know. You can save these and just wash them out really well. If you're reusing any container, you want to sterilize it with like a little bleach in the water, just so you're not gonna like cause some type of mold or whatever growth in your starting soil. So these containers in here, they're little plastic ones I got at the dollar store, like 10 of them. I used those last year or the year before. The ones from the store you can save, like if you're buying flowers, you can save them. You just want to do the same thing as wash them out before you use them. And I love this because it's a tray and it'll catch the water. There's still drainage, and it also functions as like a greenhouse. You'll want some type of lid that's clear so light can get through, but it keeps moisture in, so you're creating a greenhouse effect. You want to, so young seeds need that greenhouse environment. You want to maintain a level of humidity. So if you don't have some type of lid, you can even use saran wrap over, like let's say you threw the lid out. You could use saran wrap to cover, to keep moisture in. It's just a little finicky because when you have to re-water, it gets sticky. So lots of options as far as what containers and what structure you can use. I like to have, let's see, I've got these little, it's important to label your seedlings. So these kits come with like a thing you can cut out and you can label it. I'm just trying that out this year, but this doesn't really stay with my seed tray, so I just kind of hold on to it and try to remember. But I like to just stick a little wood pick, like label it, and you can stick it right in. This is my old crop ones here. So I measure them and like, oh, okay, those are good. Height. I like the wood ones because I want to keep it with my plant when I transplant it outside. But this year, in the past, I've done little plastic labels, and I'm going through my garden and I'm like, all these little plastic labels, like they're not going to break down. So I suggest just going with these little wood ones and using like a Sharpie to label. That way they can break down in the soil over time and not have like all this garbage in your garden beds. So light is one of, well, water. We'll talk about water first actually. I use a little spray bottle, and when you have little, these ones are kind of like mature now. They're not little tiny ones. Some of them are. I've got like a little celery right there. That's still tiny. When you're watering them, you don't want to like douse them because it can kill or uproot the little tiny roots that are growing. So using a spray bottle for like misting to keep that soil moist.
And she brought one for everyone.
Yeah,
to
everybody
take
can
home.
take
Isn't that nice?
one
We don't need
home.
it tonight apparently, but we will.
Yeah, I mean,
Tomorrow
you can
and
use it, but you don't need it, but you can take it home with you. And that way, I want you to like, I'm trying to set you up for success as much as I can. So water, so for tonight, we're gonna use these and we'll go in and rehydrate the little pellets. It takes a little bit for them to soak in. So we might like pause, go do that, let them soak in, and then come back and talk a little bit.
You tell us when you're ready, we will.
Okay.
And
We'll do
just
that after we talk
because
about
she's
light.
setting us up for success, I just suggest that you let us know before you stop by. Just if you need to come by, let us know you're coming.
Oh, what do you mean?
Just
Oh.
in case it's not successful, I will
Oh.
hide it.
Oh, okay.
But if it is successful, I will bring it front and center.
Hey, I'm okay. If it fails, they don't need to hide it
I
from
heard
me.
You did say if we're not gardening,
Yeah.
if we're not failing to.
Yeah, see in here I like took out the ones that didn't even grow anything in them. So I had some failures too. It just happens. Sometimes seeds won't germinate. If they're a little older, there's less germination rate.
Well, it's
Sometimes they
interesting
just
too.
don't
We've been
make it.
weeding because we're trying to get our yard ready, and I was down in the little garden plot things. I just have 4, and there's lettuce growing, and my strawberries I knew would come back, but they get so big they fill up almost the whole thing. But the lettuce, I had no idea it would reseed and grow by itself.
Oh, yeah.
No, I clean it out like every year.
Yeah, so the seeds stay.
It apparently.
Yeah, so lettuce, just for example, it prefers colder temperatures. Some of them can tolerate some heat, but once it gets hot, they send up a seed stalk, like a flower. They flower, and then those flowers, when they dry up, that's where the seeds are in the lettuce plant. So if it dries up, you've left the flowers on and the seed stalk, they will just blow around in the wind or fall off the plant. So it's Mother Nature's way of replenishing itself. It just continues on that lettuce's life cycle. So
So if you want to do the watering thing now,
I want to talk about one more thing and then we'll go in and I'll have you each get, yeah, I'll tell you that in a second. So the last like foundational thing that you need is light. And so this is a tricky one because I was like, well, I can't provide like grow lights for you, but I can tell you about what your options are. I went ahead and invested in this is not an official grow light. So we see like there's these grow lights you can get at like Lowe's or Home Depot or online, and they'll be like official, official grow lights. Those are overpriced. So this is just a standard shop light, and I went to Lowe's just the other day hoping I could find some and like buy them and bring them, but they were out of this structure, like the lamp part. But the lamp part itself without light bulbs was like $17 to $18. And then a 2-pack of light bulbs. These light bulbs, I wrote it on that sheet. It's 6,500 K lumens, which is like the daylight. It's one of the brightest light bulbs. Those are great for getting seedlings started, for growing anything with leaves and foliage. But they're not great for like flowering stuff. So if you want something, you're trying to grow flowers and you want them to actually flower inside under your lights, then these aren't the right light bulbs. But these are perfect for just providing light indoors for things to sprout and germinate long enough for you to get them outside. So that's one.
And if you don't have that, but
Yeah.
you have a sunny window, is that enough?
Yeah, so the next thing, seedlings ideally need like 10 to 12 hours of like direct light. So early in the spring, like in March, we just don't have that through our windows. But I think about right now, April, you can do your like vine plants like cucumbers, melons, things like that. And if you want to be able to bring them outside during the day, but maybe in like a slightly protected area, or a sunny south-facing window, I think they'll get enough light that way. So for tomatoes, they really do need like that close direct light or direct sun. Otherwise they just get really tall and lanky and skinny, like as they're trying to get enough light. But for like the vine plants, I think doing it in a sunny window should be sufficient. Later in the year, like April should be enough daylight hours. But it might take a little bit more effort just because you might have to move that seed tray like from this window to this window, like, or maybe like outside for a little while. But being able to do it outside in the sun for part of the day kind of helps with a later step of the hardening off process, which we'll talk about later. But yes, so if they've germinated and they're little sprouted, where'd my celery one go? If they've germinated and like this, and you take them outside, you'll just want to prop the greenhouse lid open just a little bit and not keep it securely closed because it can get too hot in there in direct sun. But just keeping it propped a little to keep some moisture in, keep it from scorching, but keep it from getting too hot. And they're smaller lights, like you don't have to get this big one. You could get, like a small tabletop one. There are some that are just like direct grow lights. You can get various like widths and sizes. So if you want to just invest in like a small one and you just want to do like one tray and keep it like basic and easy, I do highly recommend getting some type of grow light just because it really helps get that light like 1 to 2 inches above your plants so that they stay strong and like stocky rather than getting long and lanky.
Now when they get to touching the lid like that, those ones
Yeah.
are big. What do you do?
So
Just take them off all the
these ones are past, like they don't need the lid anymore. I just have it for show, transportation. These plants right here, I started in March, the middle of March. And right now they're in their process of like hardening off. Like I need to leave them outside for a few more hours for a couple more days and then they'll be ready to just plant in the soil. So yeah, we'll talk more about that in a minute. So for now, let's go ahead, and I've got 2 different tray sizes. So I'm gonna just rip this open. for these trays, you can go ahead and open yours and take all that stuff out. Just use these and we'll rehydrate these. We need to add quite a bit of water, so we'll like cover them all with water and they'll start absorbing it. We might need to add a little more, but then they'll be ready to plant. So I like these big ones. These are one of the bigger sizes of these peat pellets. These ones are a little bit smaller. And I've noticed that the smaller ones work better for like the cold crop type vegetables like lettuce, kale, spinach, things like that. But where we're at in our planting season right now, I highly recommend these bigger ones for like vine plants like cucumbers, and these are good for tomatoes and like squash and melons, because those plants grow really rapidly and quickly, and you'll not have to mess with like transplanting as early. So if you're wanting to do more of the vine type plants today, then I would just recommend doing one of these ones. But if you're like, hey, I want more lettuce and kale and herbs and things, you could do one of these. And if you want, I have extras. So for like $10, you can take like an extra tray home if you want to do both. Because I have extras. I have enough for both sizes. So we'll go ahead and like pause there, but fill up our, does that work for them? Or we can just keep.
I did it.
Oh yeah.
You take it, or do you want me to take the room, Alicia? Okay,
Come in
so
with
we're
us
gonna
and
just
fill up
follow
our
you.
trays. Okay.
And anyone else who wants something more? Because I can get you a sleeping jacket. This is amazing. I know. I'm shocked that wear it in the morning when I'm cold. Oh, we're supposed to take these. So we take one of these?
Yes. So the
Oh, and I'm supposed to do the other now too.
Yep. If you want on the second run, you'll just need to then will be $10.
And I'm doing Janet, who's sick tonight. The other one, Kelsey, is so when we do vine plants, when do they go into the ground? Like not till after the end, right? Or
The end of it.
so
But there's
we'll
a
have to
process.
transplant them?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Eldridge? Oh, I don't know them that well, but yes, we are. Because you can see the kids are such good deal, but they're cool.
So if you want to use that, you can keep the card, or oh, I left my recording going while we were inside. Oh, well. I'm gonna like actually.